Have you ever looked up and realized you're living with your spouse, but somehow you stop truly connecting? Not because you don't love each other, but because life simply got busy. Today's guest, the biggest I'm sorry. Today's guest says the biggest threat to marriage isn't always conflicts, it's disconnection. And he's going to share practical rules every couple can begin using today to reconnect emotionally, mentally, socially, and physically. Stay with us because today's conversation could change the way you think about staying connected in marriage. Welcome to the Stronger, Deeper Marriage Show, where we believe stronger marriages begin with real conversations. I'm Lucille Reddick, the harmony expert. I've been married for 41 years. I am passionate about helping couples create marriages filled with peace, purpose, and passion. Through intentional communication, emotional connection, and faith centered relationships. And I'm joined by my amazing co host, Pata Hall, who reminds us that strong marriages are built by caring for our minds, bodies, and spirits. Today, we're helping couples build stronger marriages one conversation at a time. Pata, introduce yourself.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Lucille, and thank you, Tim, for joining us today. I am Pata Hall, founder of True Pata Wellness, certified personal trainer, wellness coach, and I have been married for 39 years. One thing that I've learned that a strong marriage is not just about staying together, it's about continuing to grow together. That's why I'm excited about today's conversation. Healthy relationships just don't happen, they're nurtured through intentional habits, meaningful connections, and the way we care for ourselves and one another. When we care for our emotional, physical, and mental well being, we're better able to show up as healthier spouses and stronger partners.
That is so true. That is so true. So
Absolutely.
today's guest is Dr. Tim Hill, a licensed professional counselor, educator, speaker, and CEO of Inspire Education and Counseling, known for blending humor, storytelling, and therapeutic insight. Dr. Hill helps individuals, families, and couples strengthen communication, emotional wellness, and meaningful connection within uh, ED. I don't know how to say it.
EDD. Yeah.
EDD. That's how
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
say it.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
he's got a
Yep.
doctorate in education.
Yes.
And years of clinical experience, he's a remarkable ability to take complex emotional concepts and turn them into practical tools that people can use immediately. Dr. Hill and his wife, Sharita, have been married for 14 years. Together, they counsel couples and help them build healthier relationships through practical strategies and intentional connection. Dr. Hill, welcome to the Stronger, Deeper
Thank
Marriage
you. Thank
Show.
you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Did I miss anything in your intro?
No, I think that's it. Now, listen, we do a lot. We do a lot over at Inspire. So we have a lot of programs that are always running. So that was just a small snippet of all the things that we do. So,
Okay. All right then. Well, I'm absolutely in love with the title for today. So we've
Mhm.
named this the rules for staying connected in marriage because I think every married couple wants to stay connected, but many aren't exactly sure how to. Because I think about it in my early years too. I wanted to stay connected,
Yeah,
but the doing sometimes got muddled in doing life. So let's
absolutely.
start with an obvious question. Why do couples drift apart?
That's a great question. So I've been doing couples counseling for a while, and so I have the luxury of peeking in a lot of different couples and kind of seeing couples at their worst, and then being able to blend them back together. And one of the main things that I see is, of course, infidelity. That's always a big one on either partner. But I would tell you one of the big ones, and one of the ones that doesn't get enough knowledge or at least enough respect, is men oftentimes don't feel desired, and that ends up resulting in coming off across many different ways. Some men, they become more reclusive and they just show up in the marriage and they just put the keys up and they go right to their room because they know their voice is not heard. And there's other men that they end up being more expressive because they're trying to get their voices heard, but as they're doing so, they're not realizing their tone or how they're saying things, and they're kind of turning some of the kids and the wife off a little bit. So that's a lot of what goes on is desire. And then one of the things that I hear from women, and this is funny, for me, is because they always want more emotional connection. Kind of what we're talking about today. I need more from my partner. I need him to communicate with me more. I need him to be more intimate with me. And, and so I usually ask my fellas, I'm like, do you know what that means? What they're asking? Yeah, yeah. I said, well, what does that look like? I don't know. So a lot of times we know what the words mean. We know what communication means. We know what intentional intimacy means. We know what those words mean. The problem is we don't know how to put them into practice.
Yeah, execution. We don't know.
So so a lot of times I have to work with my fellas. I'm like, all right, when she's saying this is what she's really saying, bro. And then they'll be like, oh, why did she just say that?
Say that. Oh my God. I've heard
Yeah.
that a numerous times. Because you're supposed to already know what I'm thinking.
Right, right. And so we got to kind of work them a little bit and say, hey, listen, when she's saying this, really what she's saying is this. So when I tell my women, I'll give you a little nugget for my women. So when you're giving your man something to do, whether you're talking about I need him to communicate more, I need him to be more emotionally available, any of those kind of those fluff words that women know exactly what it means, but you might not think a dude may. So I'm going to always tell my women, make it in actionable form. So what does that actually mean for my fellas? So if you're saying, hey, I need you to communicate with me more, say, hey, I need to have at least a 20-minute conversation about what's going on with you 3 times a week, right? Then a guy says, I understand what she wants now and can go ahead and process that. But if you just say, I need you to communicate more, and that's all you give him, he gonna interpret that 500,000 ways, and he might not show up in any way because he don't know what it means.
Wow. Thank you for that nugget because I am guilty of doing exactly what you're not
Yeah.
doing what you're saying.
And listen, and even for the desire, one of the things that I hear, because I ask my women, hey, you don't think your man needs some attention? But because at least a lot of the women that I see, they're so conditioned and accustomed to the man coming on to them, it almost feels awkward, even in the marriage. It feels awkward for the
Mm,
roles to be reversed because they're coming outside of their natural self of who they've been conditioned to be growing up. So it's one
mhm.
of those things that often happens. But the funny thing is crazy enough, dudes get tired of chasing. They want some of that. I want to be
Wow.
Yes.
chased too, right? So
Wow.
Yes.
so
Yes.
that's one of the
Wow.
big that is one of the big ones is and I was like, man, I thought it was maybe one or two men desiring as I do this job more and more, that has probably been one of the major reasons why dudes fall off in relationships is because they don't feel desired in their own marriage.
Oh man, I'm
Wow.
telling you
Yeah.
that is ringing a chord
Yeah.
with me when I think back in my early years, because you could be a new mom, and now the baby is taking all of the attention. You might
Mm-hmm.
be sandwiched in. I can think about in certain seasons in my marriage, I was sandwiched in. I was taking care a caregiver for my mother, and then
Yeah.
I'm still a wife and I'm still a mom, and so I got all of these things right here. And
Yeah.
sometimes that desired piece, might be did fall by the I ain't gonna say might be, it did fall by the
Yeah.
wayside, because I'm
All by
thinking
the
Yeah.
wayside.
when I get ready to get in this bed, I just wanna go to sleep. I
Right.
just wanna
Right.
go to sleep. And I'm gonna tell you something else.
And I
I wanna
don't want to have to explain
Yeah.
or communicate. You should already know I'm tired. I've been with the baby. I just need you to give me a
Yeah.
hug, hold me. Why do I have to tell you this? You should already know. If you don't know, see you tomorrow. I'm going to sleep.
Right. That's how it is. He put the covers over mad. I
Yeah,
never get none.
and he can't read our mind. He don't know. He
Mm-mm.
he
Mm-mm.
doing his own
Mm-mm.
thing, so he don't know that you done had to pick up, throw up and everything else.
Yeah, yeah. And even if you don't tell him, that don't mean he present to listen. And because women will
Mhm.
talk and they'll say 500,000 things in a minute. And as a dude, we yeah, sure right. Well, what did I say? I heard the first
Mm.
thing. Let me repeat that. And so a lot of times you may have said it 3,000 times, but you might have said it between another 100 different things that you mentioned in that moment. So he was only going to take probably the first three that you said, and the other things are going to be
Mm.
like, I don't know what that.
Wow.
So
So what I'm hearing you saying is really be intentional because because the way I'm taking what you're saying is like because we can talk a lot
mm-hmm.
and you say we may have given him three things, but if we could just be intentional about that first one, maybe the most
Yeah,
important one, don't layer on a whole bunch of stuff, just that
right.
first one. Is that
Right.
what you're
And
saying?
make it actionable. So that's the probably the biggest thing that I always say is make it actionable for a guy. So if you think about fellas, we often if you think about how we handle our emotions, we don't really talk out our emotions. I got lots of homies, and very rarely do we talk out our emotions. We will act out our emotions 100%, right? And so
Mhm.
if we get angry, we ain't gonna say, "Man, you really made me upset." No, we might hit a wall, right? We might slam a car door,
Actions.
right?
Actions.
We act out our emotions. So a lot of times we interpret action as either growth or regression. And so one of the things is I tell my women saying, hey, when you are giving him a task or whatever he needs, don't leave it up for interpretation because he might get the interpretation wrong. Say exactly what you mean and what you need because he understands action. He doesn't
Mm,
understand implication.
gotcha.
Wow.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's making sense. And you bring up a valid point too, because in that communication piece, we I use this. Women speak in color and men speak in black and white. And what I mean
Mm.
by that is there was a time early on in our marriage where my husband had we were looking at a movie together and it hadn't got to the climax of the movie yet. And my husband said, I gotta run up here to the store right quick. Let me know what happened.
Yeah, yeah,
When he came back, I told him there was a car chase and this happened and that happened and da 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 da. I gave him blow by blow, right? That
yeah,
happened for me. I needed to run to the store right quick. And I said, let me know what happened. You know
yeah.
what he said?
Yeah,
They died.
He died.
yeah, yeah. That was it. That's all you got. That's all you got. No context. How he died, when he died,
I was like,
he passed
what?
away.
I gave you all of this flowery stuff. I gave you the blow by blow, and all you told me was he or she died.
Yeah,
How did they
yeah,
die? I need to
yeah,
know. So,
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Oh
But
my gosh. So
that's
true.
how guys talk. I'll give you an example. It just happened to me last night. So after I got home, I called one of my homies up, and we he needed me to talk to him. So we on the phone, and we probably chopping it up for like 3 hours. My wife wakes up and she's like, "Who are you talking to?" I said, "I'm my homie." And so when we finally get off the phone, she's like, "Man, y'all was on the phone for a long time. What was y'all talking about?"
I don't know.
None. We were talking about. You was on the phone for 3 hours. Y'all don't talk about nothing. Not really. So what that tells me is that men have different valuations on information than women do. You guys are more
Absolutely.
detail oriented, so you guys see the big picture. You see all the details, and you feel like all the details need to be expressed in the moment. Guys don't. You're right. We don't really always see the details, or we don't feel like they're important enough to express because at the end of the day, what happened,
Yeah.
right? And that's what we communicate. And so even when you see guys, we can talk colorfully. If you hear us talk about sports, we
Yeah.
can talk
Yes.
colorfully. Don't
Get the
think we
play
can't.
by play. Play
Don't
by
think we
play.
can't, right? But we can't talk confidently about things that we're not 100% sure about. And relationships are one of the things we're not usually too sure about.
Gotcha. Okay, that's making sense. I love that. So
Makes a lot of
for the ladies that are listening, he is interested in, and I know we're being generalized. In most cases, he is action oriented. So when we
Mm-hmm.
communicate, we need to speak about the action that we want, not just the flowery words that say, "Oh, I need you to
Yeah,
be vulnerable. I will need you to
yeah,
show your emotions. I need you to let the wall down."
yeah.
Actually tell him what that looks like, because he's not going to
Mm-hmm.
ask. We would think, well,
No,
why don't he just ask me? He don't know. He don't
you
know. He
don't know
don't
what
have the
he is.
words for it.
You don't know the ask, right?
Wow.
He
Yep.
he kind of know what it means, but so here's and I will tell you here's the problem with asking because as a guy, one of the things is that either A, I get you should know, B, I might get figure it out, right? Or C, we get a condescending answer as if we're dumb. So in order to avoid any of those options, I think I got it. And and typically we want to end the conversation because we typically engage at a deficit from the woman.
Mm.
So we be like, we can cut this short at any time. I got it. I understand what you're talking about.
You stepping on my toes.
Wow.
Early on, I had over the years, over 41 years, we learned to communicate
Long
better.
time ago, long time ago.
No.
Definitely learn to communicate
Yeah.
better. My
Mhm.
husband always says, he always tells me, he says, I'm black or white, you're gray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even just
Mm,
like you said, when he asked me something to this day, he was like, can you just give me a straight answer?
Right. That's
Just
all we need.
just the answer. I don't need to know you went to the store and you ran it. I don't need just did you get the stuff at the
Yeah.
store? It's
Yeah.
to this day we have these same
That's where it
conversations.
goes. That's where you be like, golly. I'm about to 5 minutes. I just need 3 seconds of your time. I'm about to spend 5 minutes doing this.
yes, yes. And we're gonna say who we saw at the store and what she was wearing and
Mm, oh, we checked out. And by the time we get to the thing that we need, we already gone.
uh-huh. Okay, okay. All right, I hope somebody's picking that up. I hope somebody's picking that up. So, Tia, what are some early warning signs that a couple is beginning to lose connection? So you've already talked about, okay, the
Yeah.
conversation part of it, the communication. We talking one language, he talking another language. So
Yeah.
what's another warning sign or some early warning signs?
So I always say I always judge, and I try not to judge, but it's easier for me to judge a relationship under two conditions: either A, when they're apart, or B, when they're in discord. And the reason why it's apart is because when you together, it's easy to put on that act, right? And so if you hear your girl and you say, "Man, he was wilding out. He's talking slick about you," then usually if he's already talking slick about you when he's gone, then that means he's already starting to emotionally disconnect, right? Now he could be venting a little bit. He could be expressing, but
Mhm.
typically a man doesn't always express the negative part. Now he might. That's my ball and chain, the old traditional toxic masculinity that we used to do that has kind of bled over even now. But for the most part, we try to be really loving, especially for our women when we're not around. Now, in Discord, what happens is, and I've noticed, is that once that friendship breaks down, when you're no longer collaborating and you're more competing, right? Everybody has a good idea. My idea is better than your idea, or you don't listen to me. I tell you another one that gets a lot of people, and it's such a defense mechanism, and it can ruin a relationship. Is the game we play when you argue called tit for tat, right? You don't close the cabinet doors. You didn't close the cabinet doors last week either. Why you on me? That tit for tat doesn't get you anywhere. All you went from one problem to two just by opening your mouth. So tit for tat, and then losing that friendship, that connection that made y'all connect in the first place. As that starts to drift away, it's harder to bring that back together. So we can get rid of. You can have financial problems. You can have some infidelity issues. It's hard because that trust is broken. But there's ways to rebuild those things. But if you don't have a friendship, I just don't like you just for on a base level. Man, what are we doing? What are
Yeah.
we doing?
You have to like each other for sure.
Man,
Because
Mhm.
if I'm gonna be your partner, if I don't like you, we ain't really
what's
partners.
the point? What's
Mhm.
the point? We talked
Right.
about this previously. Like the divorced people get divorced and they still love each other. They just
Yeah,
don't like each other.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
part of
Mhm.
that partnership, I have to like you.
God,
Period.
God, it helps because what happens is your partner's going to make a mistake, and if you are quick to see your partner's mistake as an accost against you, or you did this on purpose, or you always mess up, then you've already taken who they are and you put a negative spin on it. So I don't know how you're going to see anything that they do positive.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
and Pata talks about having to just be her husband's friend. You remember
Yeah.
sharing that, Pata, that story where you said that
Yeah,
one?
sometimes we were going through a difficult time in our relationship, and because we were friends, just like you said, Tim, I'm like, I'm leaving, I can't deal with this,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never
Mm-hmm.
been one to go back and forth because I went through that growing up. So I always say, if I leave you, I'm leaving. No back and forth. That's too much on children. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I didn't, by the grace of God,
Yeah.
only by the grace
Yeah.
of God. He was like, He needs you right now. So I had to
Yeah.
step out of my role as wife
Mm-hmm.
and be a friend.
Yeah.
Even if our marriage didn't go in the right direction afterwards, He needed me as a
Right.
friend.
Right.
And that's how we got through that. But it was very difficult
Mm-hmm.
to put wife on the shelf and deal with the connection we had as friends
Yeah.
because I liked him and he liked me. And I
Yeah.
did not want to see anything of harm or anything come of him.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
like I said, I just prayed and prayed, God, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what God put that on my heart to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just it worked out. It worked
Yeah.
out.
I
Yeah.
love
I
that.
can't leave it. I am your foundation. I know this. If I leave, it's not going to only be detrimental to me, to our children, and what we're trying to build, but also
Right.
to you as a person,
Right.
because I know how
Mhm.
you value your family. But it
Yeah.
was very extremely difficult for me to not be a take the wife mode and understanding going through that. A lot of times we're not the best wife and our husbands aren't the best husbands, and
Right.
that's
Right.
okay. Depending on the circumstance,
Right.
that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
But if you have that common goals, we loved our family and our kids
Mm-hmm.
came first, period.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So you just gotta work. I tell young couples, just work at it, communicate. I
Yeah.
had to learn how you just said, say
Mm-hmm.
what you mean.
You mean what you say.
Really, that was a process.
It
And
is.
I'm still working on it. I'm much better now, but I had to learn that because I'm like,
It
this
is.
Yeah.
when you should know. I want you to,
Mhm.
yeah, because like you
I
said,
love it.
everybody wants to feel needed and feel desired, right?
Absolutely.
We're used to being
Absolutely.
hunt. We we're used to being hunted. They're hunt for us. We like to be, hey,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, catch me, catch me, catch me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And when that doesn't happen, he may be thinking, like you just said, he doesn't feel desire. I don't feel desire. So now what do we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we done left the door open for the other woman to come in, and because
No,
I
but you
feel
have to
like
think about this. 'Cause I'm like, I put too much work in this to make you better for somebody else. That's not happening.
Right. Right.
I'm telling
Listen,
you. Go ahead.
go ahead. What you saying, Miss
No,
Lucille?
I was gonna say I worked at a toxic work environment. I used to work for the federal government, and we would be working at the plant, and so you sometimes spend more time with the people that you worked with
Yeah.
than your spouse. It
Yeah.
might be different hours. We work crazy hours, sometimes 10 and 12 hours a day, and sometimes off hours because I was working late nights and my husband's working days and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I saw it happen all the time. You there
Yeah.
with the people, and you working right next to this female, and now you're not, you don't have something that happened at home, you're not feeling desired, and she say something slick to you, you be like, okay, well, wait a minute, she want me, the one
Mm-hmm.
at home don't want me, but she want me, okay, or he want me, my husband don't
Yeah.
appreciate me. So so I
When
definitely
you get a lot of
understand.
salad at home, that sweet, that little bit of sweet at the job look real nice,
Mhm.
right? So I don't condone any cheating or anything, but I do understand when you feel like you're being disrespected, any type of attention feels good. And a lot of times dudes don't typically get attention like that from women. We're usually the ones doing the chasing. So if we get a little bit, boy, and we in a discord at the house,
Mhm.
right? It takes a certain mindset in order to switch that over, making sure that you stay locked in on what's important at home.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So for my uh whoever's listening to this, male or female, but especially in this context, we're talking about women, make your husband feel desired. You got to chase him sometime. When you see him in the
Absolutely.
kitchen, come up behind him and grab.
Mhm, mhm. Yep,
Oh,
yep.
yes.
Yeah,
That is the one.
yeah, and I can be, and I
How
can be
you want to
100%.
hug her?
Listen, it's a real. We have it in our relationship, so I can say it out loud. So there's tools that you can do to mitigate that, and we teach that to our couples. I always say have one couple do 1 week on, so they are the ones that is pretty much pouring in to the other person, and so at the end of the week, they are the ones that get to initiate the sex because they're the ones that's pouring in. Next week, it's the other partner's turn. And so both people have times that they get to pour in, and then you get to show what your pouring looks like in comparison to others. So you be like, oh, okay, I see what you did.
Oh,
I'm about
okay.
to blow it up next time. And so I'm gonna get her favorite snacks. And so now it's a competition, right?
I'm gonna
But
one
it's
up
still
you.
but it's still about love.
Oh, I love
I
that.
like
I love
that. I
that.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
I
I'm
That
like
trying
is
to
so
that.
tell
good. That is
you.
good. Let me go back to something that both you and Pat said. You use it in the context of uh, when somebody makes a mistake, and Pat.
Mm-hmm.
So what I what I like to tell people is grace.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're looking at the other person, let me just speak about me. I could see exactly what my husband was doing wrong.
Yeah.
He's doing this. He keep busting the budget. He don't pick up his shoes. He's doing. He won't cut the grass on time. I got the worst looking grass on the block. All of this.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what the Lord said to me one day? Lucy, you make that dude late every time y'all go somewhere. Why you can't be ready on time?
Yeah.
He want to be on time and you make him late. And he don't say nothing. He just say,
Mm-hmm.
Lucia, come on.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to realize, you know what? You're not perfect. You don't do everything
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's some stuff that he don't like about you too. He just ain't saying
Oh,
nothing about it.
oh,
And
100%.
one and once I realized that, I was like, you know what?
100%. We might not say it for a long time.
Yeah. So I just I once it was so eye opening for me when I that came to the Lord gave that to me is that you don't do everything right. You think you perfect because I did.
Yeah.
I felt like I was
Yeah.
perfect. I was doing everything right. I mean, because I was
Right.
trying to do everything right, but I wasn't.
You,
So
I, and I don't want to be 100 with you. So what happens is typically when I get a couple, 8 out of 10 times, the woman comes up, you got to fix my husband. I don't know what's wrong with him. So let me sit down and see what's wrong with the situation first. And so as we are breaking the roles down and we're breaking some of the mentalities down, what we're finding is I'm not just fixing the man, I'm fixing the man behaviorally, but I'm also fixing the woman psychologically, right? And
mm,
Mhm.
I go in, I said typically if we're going by typical trends, the man has a lighter work. I can fix myself behaviorally a little easier than a person can fix themselves psychologically, especially if it's over a long period of time. So you start to learn to distrust. You see ghosts. You see improvement as minor progression, waiting for the regression, right? Like so you don't really trust that your mate is actually doing the things that he needs to do because for the longest time you've already seen him as a person that's not doing right by you or not showing up. And you think you're doing the right thing, being the perfect wife, but you mentally see him as your enemy or you see him as your another child instead of your partner.
mm. Man, why you stepping on my toes like that?
You all up in my head.
Man,
Man.
I remember saying that to somebody. I was like, "Man, I got 3 kids."
Right? Yeah, yeah. What you talking about? I think you only had two.
And mostly women say that. I have never really heard men say that. Women say that all the time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
And I
It
think if
happens with.
that's Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I
you
said it
go ahead.
happens with men. It happens where men sometimes take that role, but it's a lot more rare because typically it's the woman that has domesticated the home. It's the woman that has taken on a lot of the responsibilities.
Mhm. Well, I
So
tell couples when I'm talking to women, I tell them that when if they present that to me, I tell them stop doing that. You
yeah, yeah,
yeah, you looking at him like he's and you treating him like he's one of the children. And
right.
it
He is.
seems like to me, you could tell me from your experience that if a woman wants to take all of that on, a man will be like, "Okay, you got it."
Yeah,
He'll
some
never
will.
He'll let
Some
us.
will.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about as far as doing. If I want to be do everything and not allow him to do anything because maybe I feel like he's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna do it right or whatever, then he'll just sit back and be like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
can't please you no way." So if that's what
You
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 want
know
to do,
what, Lucille? The funny thing is the woman takes on so much in the beginning, and then she gets tired, and then she's saying after 15 years of doing
Don't do nothing.
everything, right?
yeah,
You don't do
yeah,
nothing around the house. You never required him to,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
Well, it's this house too. But if you came in the relationship doing everything, what space did you leave him to step up?
exactly,
Right?
exactly,
So I don't blame the woman, I don't blame the man, but I want to see how both roles play a part in both sides because usually it's not one or the other. Typically, it's an issue that y'all both have, but y'all can't see each other for being too close to the trees.
absolutely. And I think if I think back to that time in my life, I just didn't have the words really to communicate. It went back to something you said earlier. We start attacking our
Mm-hmm.
partner with "you always do this, you always do
Yeah,
that," instead of really getting to the root of the thing. Nobody always does anything, but
yeah.
that's really not the issue. Let's really get down to really what the issue is. What I
Right.
would like for you to do, and this is what I tell women to do, is don't expect him to know what to do. You've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Ask him to do what you need him to do. That
Right.
way you're not bitter because he didn't see it, because he don't see it.
He don't see it. He
It's not
don't
that he's
see
trying to be that way. He don't see it.
it. Mm-mm. He
So I
don't.
started asking my husband for what it is I need. Don't expect him
Mm-hmm.
to do it automatically. Just ask him. And like you brought up a valid point. If we've been doing it for 15 years, because that was how we took on the things before we got like you say, it could be 10 or 15 years in, and now
Mm-hmm.
we're frustrated,
Tired. You're
overwhelmed,
tired of doing it.
tired. We're tired of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't come back and say, "Oh, I'm tired of doing this now." We just like,
Mm-mm.
Can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Just
it's not
I've been
even the
doing this.
"Can you help me?"
Yeah.
Most of the time is, "You don't never do so and so and so and so.
Yep.
You
Yep.
see you
Yep.
see that I'm tired. I got to put the kids in the tub and bathe them and all of this and that."
Mm-hmm.
So the conversation needs to be had with what I need
Absolutely.
from you
Mhm.
in this season is what I hear you saying.
Absolutely. Yep. 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 And then make it actionable. Let them know
Let them know.
verbatim.
Actionable.
Mm-hmm.
Actionable. Make it act. I'm gonna look at that note. Make it actionable.
Got to. Got to.
Well, let me ask you another question. Sometimes people mistake living together for actually staying connected. We live together. We we sleep in the same bed.
Yeah.
What you
Yeah.
mean we not? What's the difference? Is
Yeah.
there a difference?
Yeah, there's a difference. I mean, I think COVID taught us that. Shoot, there was more people living together that didn't like each other. They was not emotionally connected at all. I'm like, God, dog. They was quarantining in the same house. So a lot of times when guys are cohabitating, they feel like that is automatically, and I don't say all the time, but I'm speaking generally a lot of times when I talk about men and women. But we often think cohabitation is emotional connection. Why would we think that? Well, that requires us to be emotionally available to know what emotional connection looks like. And that is usually not a strong suit for a lot of guys because we were conditioned not to share our emotions. So typically, it's funny, if you talk about guys and we talk about loyalty, what's the first thing I always hear? Man, he was there for me, bro. Well, what did he do while he was there? Nothing, but he was there though. Okay. Right. So that's how they usually equate loyalty in being there for someone is by mere presence. Right. That's how we think of,
Mm,
man, she's always been there for me. Did y'all have a great relationship? No, but she was there though. Well, that doesn't make
mm,
sense to me, right? So a lot of times dudes naturally have that natural attachment of I'm there, therefore I'm connected. And we could have drifted away years ago, but because that proximity is so close, we feel like that is us being intentional in our relationship. But a woman doesn't see that. A woman doesn't operate off of proximity. A woman operates off of connection.
Mhm.
That's why you can have a woman that's 5 states apart, and as long as she's emotionally connected, she can be faithful for 365. Right? It's
Mhm.
easy for her because that's what she values. So when you have that emotional connection, it's easy. But if you have a man that doesn't understand what emotional connection looks like, then typically, not all the time, there's a disconnect on what that looks like.
Okay. So
Uh,
you bring up a
mm,
valid point, and this is what I want to ask you because the statistics say that women apply for divorce the majority of the time. I think like 70% of the time.
70%. 70%.
70% of the time.
Mhm.
Okay. But those numbers don't really tell the story because the men check out, but they're still there.
Yeah.
So you bring up a valid point that I never thought about is that they value loyalty, and as long
it's
as they
being there.
didn't, yeah, as long as they're there, they
They're
didn't
there.
leave.
Hmm.
That's still an important thing. I'm checking one thing off the box. I'm still there.
Yeah.
I didn't leave her. She left me.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
Right.
left emotionally.
Emotionally. Emotionally.
Emotionally. And
Emotionally.
that's hard
Yeah.
for women to see. I've witnessed that firsthand. When a woman's out emotionally, if she's not being, her well is not being constantly
Yeah.
filled, and she
Yeah.
tries and tries, because we got a deep well, man. We can come up, and that's what we're blessed with. But at
Yeah.
some point, if her spouse is not pouring into her emotionally, even if she wants to connect, she just can't.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
just can't. And I understand a lot more now with your explanation about the spouse. Well, I'm here. What are you
Hmm.
talking about?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you're here, but we're roommates.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
And even that 70/30, I'll always explain it this way. And when I say it like this, people like that is true. So if you think about a guy typically, like I said,
Right. I
when we
know.
think about relationships, we always think about the past. That's why you can see a dude, he ain't talked to a girl in 15 years, but he'll go back to that same chick that he talked to because we like familiarity. It's the same reason why it's easy for us to, once we get out of an old relationship, instead of finding a new relationship, we'll try to go through something that we already experienced before. But if you look at a woman doesn't think about the past often. What she does is she projects the future. It's the same reason why all these Lifetime movies exist on I'm looking for my emotional connection. And even though she's in a bad relationship, she's projecting in the future while the guy reflects on all the experiences we've had. And we should be together because we've been through so much. She ain't seeing it that
Mhm.
way. She sees so much as, yeah, we've been through so much.
Right.
I'm looking for something new at that point, especially when
Mhm.
she finally checks out and she realizes the dude has no emotional connection. He's more, and I've been guilty of this, I'm more loyal to the time we've been together than the person herself.
Mm.
I
Wow.
know I've been in that situation.
Okay. Loyal
So
to
more
the
loyal to the what you're
time,
saying, you've been more loyal to the relationship, the institution of the
The
relationship, than
duration.
actually being loyal to your actual wife.
Yeah, I'm in love with how long we've
emotionally.
been together, and not definitely not necessarily in love with who I'm with.
Okay. So what? So how does that fit into the context of because Pat and I are women, we've been women
Mhm.
all our lives, and we've had that conversation with our friend who knows that dude is not pouring into her. He's not really
Yeah,
there for her, and she'll be
yeah,
like, "But I don't want to start over.
yeah,
I don't invested time in this."
Um,
yeah.
So is that similar to what you're saying? That I'm trying to connect the dots here.
Yeah, so what happens with women? Women get stuck, and there's different ways that they get stuck. Sometimes they just see the potential. Oh, let's he gonna be so and so and so, and they are staying in the relationship because they see the potential of the man. Sometimes they are a ghost holder, and what I mean by ghost holder is this: the man that they once knew was so great and they love that man, but that man is no longer that man, and that man has developed and changed. But they don't see the change, they hold on to his ghost, right? And so they don't fall in
Mm.
love with who he was and not who he is, right?
Ah. Mhm.
Then there's the other woman that's stuck. We're doing a whole class and book. That's the reason why we're having one of these conversations. So another reason why one might get stuck is because she's naturally an overfunctioner and an overdoer. So she sees as me doing as my way of loving, not realizing the relationship is in shambles. But she gets her value not from the relationship. She gets her value by doing and being operational,
Okay. Okay.
being needed.
Being needed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about it is because I'm a reformed people pleaser. So
Me too. Me too.
and I wanted to be needed. I would take on all of the
Yeah.
stuff. I would be doing all the things.
Yeah.
But you bring up a valid point. And the thing about it is, Dr. Tim, we had a recording this morning with the lady who was talking about don't marry for potential.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was
That's
coming from the context of, and once we say our dues, he'll become who I see, who I want
yeah.
him
I
to
need
be.
him to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I want to, I like to make sure I phrase this properly, because when a lot of times when I say don't marry, when a woman says don't marry for potential, she's thinking of in totality. But I will say there are men that are good guys, like stand up dudes, but financially they trying to figure it out. Like they are in the process of transition.
Mhm.
If it's one of those situations, help him and show him the way so then you can guys can grow together. But if it's a personal a characteristic of him as a man, as a character, that I say don't marry for. Like that is not something that I invest in, because that's not for you. But if you vibe and you 100%, but he has to learn how to manage his finances, well, you might not need to be married then, but there's nothing wrong with building a relationship so that when he does, y'all are ready to go.
Okay. All right. I see that. So that's two different perspectives on that same phrase. And that's why we asked her for context. Because when she first told me that, I was like, don't marry for potential. Well, what else is there? But I get it.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, there's a
and
difference.
we were talking about too is, as women, as nurturers, as what the Bible says, help meet. A
Hmm.
man needs to know where his where he's going. He
Yes,
needs to have a goal. And
yes,
I say, if I'm gonna come and help you, I don't want to drive the bus. I
right,
need
right.
you to drive the bus, and I can help you, with terrain or help you fill the
Navigate a
bus.
little bit.
Maybe
Hmm.
I can read the
Right,
map. I can help you read the map. I can say, turn here, load that, all of that.
right,
But if you're not driving the bus, you ain't got no
right.
goal. You don't know where where
That
you
part,
where you aiming at. What we doing?
that
I
part.
just
Yeah,
can't sit here on the bus.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I'm
We
gonna
just
be
all sitting there high. Where we going?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then I'm gonna be frustrated because now I'm trying to drive the bus because somebody got to drive the bus. We got
somebody got to drive
kids.
the bus. Yeah, yeah. And I will tell you what sometimes happen when you drive the bus is the man actually gets offended because he feels like his power is taken away, but he doesn't realize he's not stepping up on taking the wheel. But once again, nobody explains that to the man because leadership is not always just taught in manhood, right? That's
Mm,
not a class that they teach in manhood is leadership. So, but when you're leading your household, you need to know how to lead, and those are skills that you have to develop. A lot of times, biblically, a guy will say, "Man, I'm the man of the house," but will act anything but. So you need to know how to lead in your house. You need to learn how to fill those roles as a man, protector, provider, educator, teacher. And it's just not physical protection. It's just not financial provisions. It's all of the above. It's emotional. These are the things that she needs. But if nobody put you on game, you lost in the sauce before you even began.
mm-hmm. And like me and my husband, we married kind of young, so growing into that, I remember getting frustrated about that because there was a season where we weren't sure about things, and I really, like I say, having some older women that were um, old enough to be my sisters. I didn't grow up with any sisters or brothers or anything,
Mhm.
but them teaching me how to come alongside him and kind of help him see, because the conversation that I had was like, well, don't do it for him. Help him do it.
Right, right,
Whereas,
right.
Mhm.
if I feel like if I hadn't had those women there, I'd have been just doing it. I'd have been
Yeah.
I'd have been trying to drive the bus instead of saying,
You would
Mhm.
have got your
well,
CDL and drove that bus, right?
yeah, instead of saying, something as simple as, have you considered, or
Yes.
what do you think about such and such,
So that
and
you're not helping, that's actually what we call support, right? And that's a difference. Instead of taking over the bus, which let me help you. I'm supporting you. I'm literally in the window saying, "Hey, what you said, take that left here, take that right here." That's
mhm,
what people need in relationships. You don't want to do for the person. What you want to do is you want them to do, and if they need help or do they if they need support, then they have that in you.
support. That's
Hmm.
an excellent word for it. Excellent word for it. Okay, so ladies in particular, we know that women can multitask. We can do a lot of things and juggle all the things, but
Yes.
you're gonna get frustrated. So I hope what you're hearing in the totality of our conversation is show up as support. Don't
Hmm.
take the wheel.
If you take the wheel now, you will always be taking the wheel.
Right, right.
Mhm. You can't drive if you in the back seat.
And then we're gonna get frustrated because now we done took the wheel. I know. I'm
Right,
just gonna speak it
right,
for myself.
right.
I done took the wheel, and now I'm frustrated because I done took the wheel.
Yeah, you halfway to California talking about I'm tired, and you in there back asleep.
But then in doing that, you're disconnecting yourself in a sense emotionally from your husband,
Yeah,
right?
Hmm.
Because
yeah,
Yeah.
he's
yeah. Maybe not in the immediacy because I've seen people. I feel like I'm supporting him, but after a while, and you feel like this is your role, it starts to wane. And if you ain't getting poured into, oh man, it's a wrap.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of
Hmm.
time.
Absolutely. Okay. So love the direction this conversation is going in, but let me take you here.
Okay.
I read your questionnaire
Hmm.
and I was intrigued by the way that you describe connection in four different ways. You
Hmm.
said emotional, mental, social, and sexual.
Hmm.
Let's unpack that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's start with the emotional connection. What does emotional connection actually look like in a healthy marriage?
Yes. So the funny thing is that when we talk about emotional connection, the first thing that at least that I hear is I ain't trying to be dependent on nobody. And so it's a lot of times women take emotional connection as feeling dependent, and men do too. It's kind of funny that way, and so we don't always express because we don't want to feel needy or that we're having to lean on somebody because we're supposed to be the strong person. And so you have two people in a relationship that are supposed to be working together that are acting independently. But then there is the other option where you have one person that is the main person. We just talked about this, and the other person is leaning on them, and that is dependency. Well, that can foster emotional connection, but it's a lot harder because you're playing the role of a caregiver and supporting somebody else. The ideal place, and this is the hard part, is that you have to be interdependent so that you are good on your own. You can solidify yourself on your own, but when you lean on each other, that you're stronger together. And then that is true emotional connection because you see the value of who you are by yourself, but then you see the value of how much stronger you are when you can equally lean on each other.
mm,
Mm, being interdependent,
Hmm.
not just dependent.
Yeah,
just
or
Eh,
dependent.
independent. Please, ladies, don't be independent. We don't need the independence. Please,
But wait a minute, all the songs, all Malay, what is it?
all
Um,
my all my single ladies.
what so Dr. Tim, tell us, what does independence mean in a relationship? Is there room for it for women to be independent at all or not, or just a little bit, or only when it pertains to certain areas or certain things? Because a lot of women, especially women that get married later in life,
Mhm.
like Lucille, I got married when I was 20 and she got married in her 20s. So we went through a whole thing. I didn't have
Mhm.
anything, barely didn't to school or anything, but a lot of women are waiting. They're getting married, they already have their careers, their
Mhm.
education. financially, you're financially strong.
Yeah.
So where does independence fit in a relationship, or does it?
So
How does that work?
if we're Pat, if we're talking about emotional connection, independence doesn't work at all. In marriages for emotional connection, I don't know how you can be in a relationship and be by yourself emotionally,
Mm,
right?
right,
Because are
right.
you
You're
really
right.
in a relationship at that point with yourself, right? So when we talk
Mm,
about emotional interdependence, then you do have to lean on somebody. If you're talking about financial, no. If you're talking about social, it's probably best that you are interdependent. But if the other person is not as social, then you don't necessarily have to be, right? But emotional connection is one of the few type of connection types that you have to be interdependent if you want it to work. Otherwise, it's going to be a draining if it's dependent, or it's going to be isolating if it's independent.
got you.
Well, give us an
And
example so that
codependent.
we can understand it a little
So,
better.
like
Do you have an
interdependency
example?
and emotional connection.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. So if let's say we all have problems, and sometimes problems hit families at once, and so you might have both partners dealing with the same problem at the same time, trying to figure out how to make this work and survive the next day. Well, if we're talking about independent, then the man might go to his man cave, the woman might go to the bedroom, and they trying to figure out by themselves separately and not really having connection to communicate. Where if it's dependent, then you have one person doing all the planning and all the organizing, and the other person just being emotionally needy and supportive on the other person, waiting for that person to figure out what's going on. But if you're talking about interdependent emotional connection, that means that we are still coming up with ideas independently. But then when we collaborate, then we see growth and we see understanding and then we see resolution because as we see our strengths as together instead of, oh, well, you good at that, but you ain't helping me plan on this, so I'm going to be by myself. It's that emotional connection of interdependency that makes problems work and actually show up where it's not as problematic as if it would be normally if you didn't have that interdependency.
Oh, I love that. That's a perfect
Got that.
example.
Perfect.
So that
Yes.
made sense. Yes, yes. Because I was
Hmm.
having problems putting the dots together. Because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
Me too. Me too.
I
yeah,
Me
I'm
too.
a A type, or whatever they call a D type personality. So I'm kind of headstrong. I want to do things my way. And when you talk about the emotionally connecting as being interdependent, I remember
Interdependent.
when there was a particular situation, and I we talked about it, and instead of saying, you know, okay, whatever you want to do or whatever, I
mm,
said, well, this is the way I feel about it.
mm-hmm,
And I remember this was kind of like the turning point for us, maybe like 10 or 15 years in. And I said, but if you feel strongly about doing a different way, then I will support you in that.
yeah, yeah,
Whereas before, I wanted it to be my way.
mm-hmm,
You know,
yeah,
and so we
yeah,
were kinda butting heads because he wanted to be his way, I wanted
right,
to be my way, and he was gonna do it his way anyway,
yeah,
I felt like, and then or I was gonna do it my way, he probably felt like, but when we actually came together emotionally and I was able to let the walls down,
yeah,
at that point because I was really changing in my faith and trusting in the Lord and really not putting so much emphasis on the physical person that I was seeing when I understood, warring against principalities and rulers of dark places and stuff. So
yeah,
when I could really put my faith in the Lord and that He was going to work on my behalf through my husband, I was able to kind of relax a little bit and not fight so much for my position in
yeah,
the thing, and say, "Hey, this is the way I see it, but I'm willing to do it your way." And
right,
sometimes we did it his way and it, especially early on because he hadn't been doing it his way on certain
yeah,
things, I would just take over. But if the mistake was made, we
mm,
learned. He
right,
learned, I learned, and it wasn't a big deal. Whereas
right,
I could see the first mistake that he made, he was like, met me at the door when I came in and explained, "Hey, this is what happened." And I was like, "Oh, okay then. All right, no
Yeah.
problem." Whereas I feel like, and I could see his countenance just kind of,
Hmm.
relaxed or whatever, because I kind of felt
Hmm.
like he felt, oh, oh, if I make a mistake, she gonna leave me, or
Right.
or it's gonna be a big blow up, and all of that. And I was just like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, no problem. We'll work through it. It'll all work out.
Change the whole game.
It
Change
changed
the
the whole
whole
Change the
thing.
game.
meter. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
that interdependence, right?
That, yep, interdependence, emotional connection. Y'all can see each other now.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. So the next one that you talked about after the emotional was mental.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
break that down to us a little bit?
yeah. So you can be emotionally connected but not mentally connected. And what mentally connected is that you guys might be aligned on your values, that your beliefs, the things that make you, right? I've seen people that they can do it. They can, a Muslim gets with a Christian. It's possible, right? I'm not saying that it isn't, but it's a lot easier if you guys are already aligned mentally. Oh, you see it that way. I do too, man. I'm glad we on the same page. So it's a conversation that you can breeze past because you recognize you guys are already in alignment. But when you have to sit down and discuss our different paths because we're not mentally yoked, then now it's a slower process. And because you have to understand their logic, he has to understand your logic, and then we have to compromise logics and see, do we blend or do we just take one? So it's not that it's not possible. It's just a slower process than if you're already mentally aligned in the first place.
I
Mm.
love that, and I don't think that we talk about that enough.
We
Right, we
don't.
don't.
We don't. Because you can't survive. You can't survive without it. I'm not saying that you can't.
Yeah,
A black person gives a white person. It those things happen all the time. So it's an important piece because mental connections is important, but it's
mhm.
not a make or break like it is the emotional connection.
Okay.
Gotcha, gotcha. But I get what you're saying. If I understand you correctly, it can be done, but it's
Mhm.
much the road is much easier if you
Yeah,
guys are on the same page. That equally yoked piece is a big thing.
yeah,
So the next one you said then is social and sexual.
yeah, yeah.
Can you unpack that
So
for us?
yeah. So we'll do social first, and then we move on to the sexual.
Okay.
uh, so there are three types of people. There are extroverts, there are introverts, and there's ambiverts. So what that means is there are some people that gets their battery refilled by being around people, right? So the more people that they're around, family, friends, the more their battery charges. My wife is like that 100%. I'm like, ooh, come on now, they can go home at any time. There are other people that are extroverts. So they, I mean, sorry, introverts. So they are cool with being by themselves. They don't need to have conversations with nobody. They come home from work, they put the keys in the dish, and they go up to their room and they don't talk to nobody else because they're done for the day. Right. So those are your extroverts. Then you have things called ambiverts, which they take a little bit, they get their battery refilled from being around people, and then when they had enough, they back on out to their spot, and then they can recharge their battery again on the back end. That is probably me. So if I'm being honest, I can recharge and be around people for a minute, and then my wife know he done had enough. He's tapped out. Let me get him
Time
out
to
of
go.
here, and I can recharge my battery a little bit. And so those are ambivert. Now the funny thing is that once again that can work. So my wife being an extrovert, me being an ambivert, it works because we recognize each other. We are mentally connected and we're emotionally connected, so we can understand where hey, she's been around her family for a long time. She recognizes I can probably dip out and be okay. So that is that grace that we give that you talked about. But if you don't recognize that and you be like, he never takes me out. We always doing date nights at the house. I'm tired of staycations, right? Ah, that's that social connection we're talking about. Because
Mm.
he had no desire or she had no desire going out because that's not who she is. She finds comfort being at home, right? That's the reason.
Mm.
This is ladies and fellas. This is a big thing for dates. That's the reason why dates don't always happen in relationships because one person might have gotten more introverted along the way and don't feel the need of going out no more. So,
Mm.
so that means we have to compromise. And I say, let's do a date. And that's what we talked about when we talked about having 1 week versus another week. The person that's pouring in, they can let's go out. The other person that wants to stay in, we can do a nice little dinner and a movie, and both work,
Mhm.
right?
We talked about that earlier. Is sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you may life may get busy and you may need to put a date night on the calendar.
Yeah,
You
you
know.
better. Listen. Don't you? If you struggling going to the gym, do you not be intentional on going to the gym? Right?
Yep. Yep.
Right,
You
right,
right.
right,
You
right.
right.
Absolutely right.
if you if you're going through something and you be like, man, I sure do need to go in church. Man, you know what? This Sunday I'm going to take myself to church. We do things that, but for some reason we don't necessarily do that with dates. And I always say we have to date because that's how you build the emotional connection. And once you stop dating, then what are we doing? Now we just all we doing is facing responsibilities together.
Now we just roommates.
So you gotta date.
Okay. All right then. That's the
Oh, and then
social.
let me get to the sexuals. Let me get
Come
to the
on.
sexuals.
Come
So
on,
so
give it to us.
the we talked about a little bit. We talked about how women sometimes have difficulty coming on to their man. That's one aspect of sexuality. One aspect of who's going to be the more forward person, who's going to be the one that's going to come on, who's going to take the more passive role. But there also gets to a point of what are we willing to do once we get into the bedroom. Now, I'm a young cat, so when I was young, everybody wanted a freak. And everybody used to call themselves a freak. I'm a freak. You a freak. Listen, and doing this business, I realize there's levels to freakiness. All freakiness don't hit the same. I'm gonna let you know that now.
You're
Because what
right.
you think you bad at, you might think, oh, I'll be rocking world. I don't know what you out here doing in the streets. However, how bad you think you is, if you got a partner and he's not always expressive, she's not always expressive, their freakiness level might be a little bit above yours. You just don't know it because they're not confident to talk about it. They might not be comfortable to be like, hey, I'm into this. I'm into licking feet. Because you be like, I'm out. I ain't into feet. Your toes is crusty. That is a sexual connection, is knowing who's going to initiate. But then once we are in the bedroom, what are we comfortable sharing? Are we comfortable exploring? I encourage couples about at least every 6 months, take a night just to explore your partner sexually to see if anything's changed or if they still like the same things that they used to like. Who you was at 20 is
Mm,
not who you are at 40.
yes.
Right,
Yes, that part.
right.
Right?
Mhm.
So yeah, explore a little bit. Isn't that wrong?
And the thing about it is health wise, we are not the same people. You may have put on some weight. He may have
Yeah.
put on some weight. We may have some health issues now. If you're taking high blood pressure medication, men, it affects
Yeah.
it affects the soldier. So those those, and then for women, we start going through menopause and perimenopause, and
Mm-hmm.
things are changing in that
Oh.
degree. And I can see where if my desire wanes at that stage of life, my husband could misinterpret that as me not
Mm-hmm.
desiring him anymore.
Desire.
And
Yeah.
so the
Yeah.
conversations definitely
You had
need
to
to
have
be
those
had.
conversations.
Gotta
Hmm.
have those conversations. My wife just told me a couple days ago. She says, you know what? I'm okay with having sex. How much we have sex? I said, for real? She said, it's so good. I don't even need it that much. I said, what? I said, if I like tacos and I enjoy tacos, don't I want tacos every day? I don't want it every 3 months. I said, I don't understand that logic. How does that work for me? But because of how she operates on her sexual connection, she doesn't need as much because she gets fulfilled easily. But me, I'm thinking
Mm,
if I like something, I'm a fat boy. I'm about to eat. Like we
yeah.
put it on one plate again. So, but you need to know how your partner moves, and I'm glad that you represented that are people that are more mature, that might have more ailments or injuries, and how to perform in the bedroom and having grace with your partner, because everybody's knees is jacked up. Not everybody,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
everybody, but some of us. You gotta swing that leg to get it. I get it. I get it. So you gotta have
Yeah.
some grace with your partner. You know their limitations.
Have
It's
some
all right.
grace, have some
Yeah.
conversations. Let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do.
Grace and
And
conversation.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. And if you got to go to the doctor and get get what you need, do that. So so that you
Yeah, but
and
that's
I
why you're
think
here.
yeah, but I think as a young person, I don't know. I guess I thought that after you get to a certain age, you wouldn't want to do that anymore. But I see that you know, no,
Yeah,
No.
there's
No.
not a time if you like your partner. I like
Yeah.
my husband,
right,
Yeah.
and I
right.
desire him and he desires me. And so I'm doing
Yep.
everything I can in order to
Yeah.
stay in the proper space where everything is working properly so we can do what we need to do in order to connect in that
On that
physical
level.
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And there's a
Even at
small
the
there's a certain section of the populations whose identity is linked to how well they can perform in the bedroom, right? So that's what they take on. Oh man, I can kill the sheets, and when they can't anymore, right? Then they go through identity crisis. But most people don't realize
Oh, yes. I never
that.
even thought about it from that perspective. If you used to putting
Yeah.
it down and now you can no longer put it down
Mhm.
like that, that's gonna be a problem for your ego. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes. I love that. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you're saying. So, um, I hope that the people who are listening don't underestimate the importance of being connected to your partner. And he's talked
Mhm.
to us about the mental, the social, uh, yeah, emotional, mental, social, and sexual.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
that those are so important even as time goes on and you grow older with your partner. So since we're talking about connection right now, I want to
Mhm.
pause right now and Pata, because she's in the health and wellness space, she has a health and wellness minute to share with our audience.
All right, all right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tim. I'm learning some things even after all these years. But today's conversation just reminds us that staying connected in marriage is not just a big conversation or one special date night. It's about small choices that we make every day, how we speak, how we listen, how we care for ourselves, and how we care for each other. We often think that wellness happens in the gym, in the kitchen, or at the doctor's office, but connection is wellness too.
Mhm.
Emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual wellness, they all work together. When we're healthier within ourselves, we are better able to show up with patience, presence, compassion, and love and grace.
Yeah.
Shared experiences help couples lower stress, laugh more, communicate better, and remember that marriage is not just a responsibility, it's a relationship. That interdependence that you so vividly displayed in your conversation, it doesn't have to be expensive. Take a walk together, cook together, dance in the kitchen. Back in the day, for some of us that's kind of on this other side now, we should dance all the time. Dance together, sit outside, no phones, even if it's just 10 minutes. The goal is not to create a perfect date. The goal is to create a moment that says, I still choose us.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Love
I
that.
love
I
that.
love
I love that.
that's
So
deep.
And
That's
it's
deep.
like, I think people too, it's like no matter what stage you are in your marriage, you can grow. You
Mm.
have to continue to grow until
Yeah.
that marriage is no longer, or you guys are no longer. And I think sometimes people would get married, and I'm married, and yay, I'm married. But
yeah.
that's just the easy part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
let's
true.
check the
That is
box
true.
off. We done had this elaborate wedding that as a woman, I've dreamt about all the time, and now we in it, and we should be able to hold hands and ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Or like you
No.
Doctor
guys say,
Doctor Hill,
staying
where's
married
mine?
and being happy. Yeah, staying married and being happy and actually liking the person. A lot of people just stay married and like you just discussed,
Mhm.
there's no connection. They're essentially they live in the same space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm glad that you said that because I always have to remind people, and it's a depressing statement, but I it's important to know that all relationships are finite. All relationships have an expiration date, and some are going to be for a short season, some are for a longer season. But at the end of the day, when you find yourself at the end of that relationship, what did you learn and did you grow from the relationship that you were in? And that's the ultimate goal that you should be asking yourself after every relationship or true, genuine interaction.
Okay, all right. You say they all
Yes.
have an expiration.
Yes.
Are we talking about because I married my husband for life, for life. I was like, look,
Yeah,
you might be.
Well,
absolutely.
it's still an expiration at
Yeah.
some point. However,
Well, I just want to make
Y'all
it
might meet
clear.
each other on the other side, but there's an expiration date that has to end for a short time before the new one can begin.
Ah, okay, I got you. I got you. I
Yeah.
got exactly what you're saying. Okay. All right. All right. So let me you've talked about these different areas of connection. So uh, this is what I want to ask you. If you were writing the rules for staying connected in marriage, the
Mm,
rules for staying in connection, you this is your book or this is your paper that you're putting out for everyone.
yeah.
What would be that first rule?
That's that's easy, and that rule is going to be the rule that God gave me when I had to figure this all over again. So that I was doing about 6 months of like intentional inner work to make sure that when I came out of it, I was a better man for who I was. And when I was looking for my wife, God put on my heart. He says something very intentional to me, and it's very loud. He says, "Don't look for what she can do for you. Look who she is to you." And that kind of goes back to that friendship.
Mm,
Every woman has something that she can offer. I don't care what it is. Every woman. The idea is not to value what she can bring. The idea is to value who she is. Because when things can go away because they were already given to you, then at the end of the day, what left do you have? And if you don't have that connection, if you don't have that friendship we talked about, if you don't have that grace, then at the end of the day, what do you have? You have two people working together on responsibilities, but at the end of the day, they are not here.
mm-hmm.
So that is
So
what he put in me.
so are you able to give us an example?
Yeah, I'll give you I won't go into full detail, but I have my single man's way to find a woman, and I applied this to myself, and that's how I found my wife. And so
Okay.
as I was doing this, I was very communicative to each and every woman. I said, "Hey, I don't want. I'm looking for a wife, but I said if I have relations with you, I said you're going to be out of the running." And I said I want to be doing open dating. The idea behind it is I wanted to find who I wanted to connect with, and so I wanted to find my friendship. And a lot of my fellas is like, "Man, why would you say you don't want to have sex with them?" I said, "Because I understand once I have sex, it jades my opinion of who they are. If they perform
Mm.
well in the bedroom." And now I'm like, man, she was great. I see her as a future because of what she can do. Once again, it's not what they can do for you, it's who she is to you. So I wanted to
Mm.
find my friend. And from my friend, I can generate everything else because we're friends. But if I start looking what she bringing to the table, I've already lost on who I'm talking, on who I'm spending the dinner with.
Mm. Gotcha. Okay. I like that perspective, and it brings up something too that when I've talked to single women and I've tried to express that if you are already having relations, that it can cloud your judgment about the
Mm-hmm.
person, and then they try to go to the person, the in this particular, I'm talking about a woman going to the man and saying, I want to pull back.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, the men are not open to that because I've already experienced you. And
Mm-hmm.
now
Right.
you trying to change the rules of engagement.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
So sometime it had, very few that I've heard of, I'm not gonna say I got a case study with millions of people or anything like that,
Yeah.
but the few that have been in my coaching program when the woman has already gone there and then wants to try to pull back, it usually don't work. So
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
mean, at least give them some time to get to know you. I mean, if we already intimate and we just met a month ago, why don't for me? I'm part of it. I'm gonna talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Part of the reason why I'm emotionally investing is because I want to get something out of it too. I'm
Right.
not in it for just emotional connection off the rip. I want a little extra, right? But if I ain't got to pour into my emotional connection and I already get my extra, then what I got to pour in for? I'm already getting what I need.
Right. My grandmother always said, if you give him the milk, he's not gonna want to buy the cow. And I
Of
used to be
course.
like, what? What are you talking about? She was like, yeah. I'm like,
Mhm.
What
so even to this day, this has been going on forever in time. It still applies. So that's what
yeah.
you say. It still applies.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I tell my daughters, wait as long as possible and let that man see you for who you are. And
Mhm.
then, once they see you for who you are, they can choose if they are ready to settle down and see you and be with you for who you are.
Absolutely. And I guess to that point, no, no, no. I'm not gonna go there. I'll I'll say this, Dr. Hill, that I appreciate your work, uh, and that you help couples not just survive, but you help them heal.
Mhm.
So I love that part. I did some research on you and
Thank
everything.
you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So what I want you to do is tell us a little bit about your program. You got one that's called Stuck,
Yeah,
from emotional survival to intentional healing. Can you
yeah.
tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that kind of goes back to my women, and I'm starting with women first because they're usually the ones that get emotionally stuck first. Dudes do it too, but we we process it out a little bit easier. So women get stuck, and what it is we actually are conducting a class, and our ladies will actually walk and figure out what their stuck style is. So how are you stuck? And then me and my wife are working through with each woman, and we are alleviating how they are stuck, and we're doing it through called the Japanese kintsugi bowl exercise. Are you familiar with this?
Mm-mm.
No,
So
I'm not.
you probably have seen it where you see like a broken item, a vase or a bowl, pottery, and then they put it back together and they put like a gold lacquer to highlight the cracks of the bowl. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Right.
have
Oh,
seen
yes,
that.
yes,
Mhm.
That's
yes.
essentially what our women look like after they're done. Right. They were broken at one point in time, but you've put a finish on them, and now they're more beautiful than what they began. Right.
Oh,
And so
wow.
we do that actually in class. So we do a kintsugi bow exercise over the course of the 8 weeks, and we're building them up, just not emotionally, but we're also building them up educationally. So when they see these same stuck patterns again, they know what to look for and how to show up. And the idea is now they have a bow that they can take home that reminds them of who they used to be.
Mm, I love
So
that.
that is our stuck program that we are currently putting out, and that will eventually be a book that's already written. But we wanted to make sure that we had the class first, so that we have that one-on-one attention for our ladies because that is going to be important for them.
So is there a way to tell the difference between surviving and being truly healed?
It's tough because what happens is that you really don't know until you've been triggered. I'm just gonna say that because I'm going. Listen, you being a therapist, you can't. I would be so well off if I heard, man, I'm healed. I done worked on myself, and as soon as they trigger, them old habits come back.
I'm
And
back.
so I always say you can tell how healed a person is when you put them in the stress that they came from, right?
Mm,
That's when you can see if they how they've grown. If they respond the same way, yeah,
you gotta
you might have healed emotionally, but you have not healed behaviorally,
Mm,
right? But if you see
okay.
your situation different and you show up different, now you've actually healed because you see who you were and you're no longer that person.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you and your wife Sharita, you guys work together in
Yes.
this situation. So has counseling other couples changed your own marriage?
Absolutely, it has. So our anniversary is actually tomorrow. So
Happy
Oh,
anniversary.
happy anniversary.
thank you. I appreciate it. The funny thing is that oftentimes we forget our own anniversary. This is probably the first time in about 4 years we both remembered. So usually we go on the probably the last three not recognizing our anniversary, and people are like, "Oh, y'all couple counselors, and y'all ain't even recognizing your own anniversary." Well, part of it is because we work so much together, our love is just already there. So we just see our anniversary as just any other day. Now it's important for us because of the day that we actually tie the knot. But at the end of the day, anniversary is to show how much you love and care for a person, right? But if you've been doing that 365, then that,
Yeah.
that
It's just
anniversary is
it's
just
just
another day
another day. It's just
on the
another day.
ticket. So
Okay, so I can give my husband kudos for that because I've heard that numerous times. Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. So
Sound like y'all had to have some intense conversations about it, Patta.
Man, after all these years, you don't get here without intense conversation.
yeah,
Period.
yeah, yeah. But if listen, as a woman though, if you need that, I need that acknowledgement. I need those affirmation on our on our wedding day, on our anniversary. Say that. Just don't assume like, hey, let your man know what does that look like too. Does that a gift? Is that a date? Is that both? What is that? I I recognize my wife has given me a lot of grace because of who I am and what I do, that she will allow me that grace. But I still got something coming for her too. So don't think I just forgot about her. I still
Yeah,
got
I
something
always get
coming
my
for her too.
card and flowers. If
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
else, I get my
yeah.
card and my flowers. So
There you go. There
There
you
you
go. The
go.
classic, classic.
See, you've given him the actions. He knows what to do. He knows what you appreciate, and then he can go from there. I
There you
love that.
go. Absolutely.
So this made me think about. So I was talking to a lady the other day, and she is been on a health and wellness journey like me. And
Mm-hmm.
so she's lost a lot of weight and she's changed her eating habits.
Yeah.
And she said, "My husband is trying to kill me." I was like, "What you mean?" She said, "He keeps bringing me candy and stuff that I used to like, and I can't eat that." And I asked him, "Are you trying to kill me?" I said, "Ain't that
Mm,
sweet? He just wants to bring you
mm,
something, and he knows
yeah.
that that's what you like." I said,
Right.
"Tell
right.
him what you would like instead."
Yeah.
Of
And
the
she said, "Well,
candy.
he's not gonna
Yeah.
buy it, but I'm gonna try it." So I can't wait till I talk to him and find out did it work
There you
because
go. There you go.
because I had to understand that with myself. Because when I was changing my eating habits, my husband would bring the stuff that he know that makes me smile that I like, and I'd be like, "No, I can't eat that no more."
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I had to tell him, "Look, this would be better if you would bring me this. Because if
Yeah.
you bring me that, I'm not gonna eat it. It's gonna sit in the refrigerator and it's gonna go bad." So he didn't
Yeah.
want to do that, but he's like,
Yeah, you gotta update your partner on who you are and how you change. And I believe in having weekly conversations for about 20 minutes, just as telling how people how you updated, what's your progress, what's your journey, so they know how to support you as you go forward.
"Oh, that is a good point
Great
too."
idea.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna talk about that at the very end too.
Yeah,
So your event is called Doper Together. This is
yeah,
such a great name. Can you tell us a little bit about your event and maybe
yeah.
what inspired it?
Yeah. So what inspired it is that we went out to a like a date night, and I said, man, this is 100% for the women. Like this is not represent my fellas at all. And so
Ooh.
we got back in the car, and I told my wife, I said, man, how cool would it be that you can get couples counseling and have a good time, a genuine good time, and enjoy yourself all in one stop shop. And she's like, that would be cool. I said, but it has to be something that because the women get the natural, they get the thing of building the relationship. And guys, I'll be honest, we care about building our relationship, but we ain't going out to an event just to build our relationship. We want to have something. So one of the things we did was we're doper together. And so what that is it's a couples counseling class, but it's not necessarily counseling. We take the counseling up out of it. And it's almost like coaching. And so what we do is we have a stage, we have a DJ, It's a red carpet event. We had soul food, we had drinks, we had workbooks. It's a whole event where people just come out and they learn about their relationship, and you actually use music as a teaching tool to talk about relationships. So you might do Tevin Campbell, Can We Talk? We might do Mary J, All I Need, and we're using these and we're
Okay.
interpreting. Yeah, let me look at the
Okay.
lyrics to see what they're really talking about. And so my fellas loved it because they was like, oh man, it's easy for them to identify because it's stuff that they are naturally drawn to. And my women, they loved it because they got to see their men engage in relationships, but on a level that they could actually accept and learn from. So
Oh.
funny thing is, we did it, and it was on Valentine's Day, and we were doing it again. But originally, it was the ladies. They was like, "Oh man," they were all for it. And by the time they left, the couples were leaving. The guys that were the one that wanted to stay.
That is not usually how that works.
That is not the usual, but they had such a blast because they were able to learn about their relationship, but then have a good time and actually earn some prizes. They got we had an intimacy coach. Like we had a lot going on because we just want couples to grow and learn from each other.
Oh, well, look like it sounds like that you're saying that marriage doesn't have to be boring.
Ah, ah, it better not be. It better not be.
Better not be. Well, Dr.
Better
Hill,
not be.
this has been incredibly practical. I'd love to invite my co-host Pata if she has anything else that she'd like to say or anything before I go ahead and go with our closing statement.
I just want to say thank you. You have been your perspective. I'm interdependence, man. That's
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
have learned, and that's what, I want our listeners to understand. There's no perfect marriage, and you constantly learn and you constantly work and you constantly grow.
Yeah,
And for me, I learned something new today.
yeah,
So you got to be open to it as well. But thank you so much.
yeah.
So
Thank
much
you.
appreciated. I wish I was closer. I would have to attend your event.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we're trying to take it on tour. So this is we're just
Okay.
starting off local, but we are is the what was called We're Doper Together Hip Hop and R&B Tour. So we will be in other states eventually.
Okay.
We're just
Oh,
starting local,
that's
starting
good.
off.
But I'm here in
Yeah,
the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so I definitely
yeah.
want to come to the next event
Come
that you
through. We
have.
will make sure you get an invite. Make sure you get an invite.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Hill, thank you. I really appreciate the practical wisdom that you shared today. One thing I love about today's conversation that is that you've reminded us that marriages rarely fall apart overnight. More often,
Mm.
couples slowly become disconnected for one reason or another. One missed conversation, maybe a busy season in their lives, one unspoken hurt at a time. But the good news is that we can also reconnect one intentional conversation, one healthy habit, one intentional choice at a time. Thank you for giving us practical tools to help do just that. So before we close, it's time for this week's heart to heart challenge. Dr. Hill, one thing we encourage couples to do is to have one intentional conversation every week. So if you could leave every couple with one question that they could ask the other this week, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a great question. All right, so my go-to is I want to say is this: when you are having a conversation, ask them how have their goals changed from when you first got together to how you guys are now, and see if they still align for what you from where you started from.
I love that. How have your goals changed?
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
From where you
I love
started
that.
from.
From where
Yeah.
from where we started from. Okay, I'm writing that down because
Hmm.
that'll be a
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation I'll have with my husband. So it's our hope, couples, that as you ask that question this week, that you would put away the phones, turn off the television, sit down together, and have conversation. Sometimes one honest conversation can change the direction of a marriage. So uh, let me say this. Thank you again for spending time with us today. Thank you for investing in marriages. The work that you do is so important. And thank you for reminding us to stay connected. That will not happen by accident. We're going to have to be intentional about it. So, if today's conversation encouraged you, please help us encourage someone else. Click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this episode with someone you care about. You never know. One conversation could strengthen a marriage, restore hope, or change a family's future. As you leave today, don't just listen to this conversation. This week's heart to heart challenge is simple. The question that Dr. Hill gave us earlier. Find out if the goals have changed since you last shared them or when we first started. All right. So listen without interrupting, respond with love, and give each other the gift of being fully. So
Mm.
remember, stronger marriages don't just happen. They're built through intentional conversations, intentional choice, and intentional love. For so this week, have one heart to heart conversation. So until next time, I'm Lucille Reddick, and this has been the Stronger, Deeper Marriage Show, and where we believe that real conversations bring stronger marriages. God bless.
God bless.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Oh.